Look, I want to start this episode off by saying, does Georgia have an issue at running back on Saturday? But instead, I think I have to say Georgia does have an issue at running back on Saturday. Let's talk about it today on the Locked On Bulldogs podcast.
You are Locked On Bulldogs, your daily podcast on the Georgia Bulldogs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. I am Daniel. Clint is not here, but it is a Wednesday, and we are talking about the University of Georgia football team that plays a real-life, live-action football game on Saturday. Today, we're talking about the running backs that are going to play, and most notably, the running backs that are not going to play in this game. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your order. More on GameTime in a second. Thank you, everybody who is here. The numbers are up. It's football season. It's what we expect. Glad to have you back. If you've been away for a while, if you're an Alabama fan and the YouTube algorithm is feeding our show to you again, it's good to see you again. I'm happy to have you. We'll get to you on September the 28th. Don't worry about that. But today we're talking about Clemson. We're talking about Georgia players that are going to play, Georgia players that are not going to play. Thanks for being an everydayer if you're here. Thanks for making us your first listen if you are here. And I'm excited to jump into it today. Kirby Smart met with the media the last 2 days. We also got to hear from guys like Carson Beck, guys like Michael Williams. So there's a lot of content to get to. There's a lot of things to break down, but I think it kind of begins and ends. I do want hang around to the third segment. I'm going to give you a little breakdown on some Kirby for a player that I'm personally really excited about, and I think Kirby had as glowing of things to say as Kirby Smart is physically capable of saying about a player. So if that's intriguing to you, hang around to the third segment and we'll talk about that. But right now we got to talk about the running back situation. If you don't know by now, Roderick Robinson had surgery on his toe. He is out, at least for the time being. There is zero chance that Roderick Robinson is going to play football on Saturday. If you don't know by now, Trevor Etienne's going to be suspended on Saturday. Like, let's just get it out of the way. We could say, will he? Is it possible? You don't know. He hasn't been announced. Kirby's been asked 100 times. He is not going to divulge discipline issues. That information is never going to get out there. It doesn't matter how many times the same reporters ask him the same questions over and over and over and over again. He's never going to say, but listen, I'm going to say it right now. Trevor Etienne is not going to play football on Saturday. He's not going to be suspended for the first half. He's going to miss the entire game. That is my prediction. That's what I think is going to happen. I think as a Georgia fan, you need to be mentally prepared for that to happen. What does that mean for us at the University of Georgia? Because as easy as it is to say, like, well, we're Georgia, we're deep at running back. We've recruited very well at running back. Yes. Georgia has recruited very well at running back. Yes. We are still technically deep at running back. But let me tell you about that depth real quick. You have Branson Robinson, who has yet to play a game after a catastrophic knee injury that he has spent the last year recovering from. Has yet to see live bullets, yet to be in a game time situation. We have no idea how many snaps he may or may not be limited to. We have no idea how physically his body's going to react to the wear and tear of a meaningful high level football game against really talented defensive players. If you missed our breakdown, our preview of Georgia's offense versus Clemson's defense, you can find that on Monday's show. If you missed our preview of Georgia's offense against Clemson's defense, you can find that on yesterday's show. We don't know how Branson's going to hold up, but we have him. We have Cash Jones, old reliable Cash Jones, who is the Dan Jackson of the offense. He's the guy that nobody wants to play, but every time he plays, he's pretty dang good at football, and he's going to play on Saturday. And then there's freshmen. It's probably led by Nate Frazier, just you would think, but we don't know. it's freshmen after that. There's 3 freshmen. They're all on campus. I would expect we're going to see at least one of them get some snaps on Saturday. After that, you're talking about, is Dylan Bell going to move back in and play some snaps in the backfield? Like, we know that's something that he's capable of. I think you and I and everyone would agree we would rather Dylan Bell be on the outside doing Dylan Bell type things from the wide receiver position. Georgia obviously already down Rara forever. And so if you have to move Dylan out of the back or out of the outside wide receiver spot into the backfield, you're all of a sudden getting pretty deep into the depth chart at that position. And that's not necessarily a great thing either. There are some options. I don't know that any of them are great options. Trevor Etienne is a big loss if he's going to be out for this game. A 1-game suspension, which is what I imagine that it's going to be, a 1-game suspension. It is significantly meaningful when that 1 game is against Clemson and next week is against Tennessee Tech. This is the game that you want him for. This is the game that you're probably not going to have him for. It also happens to be Branson's first game back. Just the timing of all this just doesn't line up great for the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, what is Georgia going to do about that? Like, what's the game plan? I'm going to tell you my thoughts. I'm going to read into some things that Carson Beck said. I'm going to read into some things that Kirby Smart said. And I'm going to give you my predictions of how Georgia handles the issues at running back on Saturday. All of that coming up right after these. But first, want to let you know about Game Time. Game Time is the place that we go for last-minute ticket deals. If you need a ticket to a sporting event, if college football season is here, if you're trying to make your way down to Atlanta to go see a game at the Benz, no matter what you're trying to do, Game Time is the place for you. There's a 50% off Labor Day deal for a Diamondbacks Dodgers game. Maybe you're going to be out in LA. I don't necessarily recommend it, but if so, Game Time runs deals like that all the time. All-in pricing is the thing that makes Game Time special. If you've ever been on a ticket app before, then you know you find your seats, you find a decent price, you think you've got the tickets that you need, and then you get to the final payment screen and it's $1 billion of added fees. You turn on the feature for all-in pricing on the Game Time app. That's gametime.co, or download the Game Time app. Turn on the all-in pricing feature, and then the price that you see is the price that you get. They give you the view from your seats. They give you the best deals on every single ticket that you need. And so download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Game Time. Also want to let you know about FanDuel. We've talked a lot about FanDuel. We have a little something different for you now through September 22nd. NFL season is coming up. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get 3 weeks free of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. That's when you have a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to download America's #1 sportsbook. FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. All right, so I said what I think the running back situation is going to be. ETN is not going to play. Now, listen, maybe I'm wrong, and you'll jump in the comments on Saturday night on the Overreaction Show. You can tell me I was wrong. I would love to be wrong about this, but I'm just telling you, you need to prepare yourself. ETN's not going to play. You listen to the way even Kirby Smart talked about kick return options. He lists 3 or 4 guys. Cash Jones, he lists as a kick returner. Dylan Bell, he lists as a kick returner. And then almost as if he were just remembering, he said, ETN also returns kicks. Okay. Earlier this fall, when asked the same question by the same reporter, probably about kick returners, and Kirby gave the same answer, because that's what these press conferences are, just the same people asking the same questions and getting the same answers. Kirby listed Trevor Etienne first when he listed through all the kick returners, because you would imagine that Trevor Etienne is going to be a primary kick returner on this team, not Cash Jones. It's just a little thing, but Trevor Etienne's not playing in this game. Also, Carson Beck, when asked about the depth of the running back room, he says, I love our depth, and the first guy he talks about is Branson Robinson. Now, you could say, well, that's, Trevor Etienne's new and Branson Robinson's got experience. Branson Robinson didn't play a single snap last year when Carson Beck was the starting quarterback. Okay. He referenced his freshman year national championship game, multiple touchdown appearance. Like he went out of his way, it felt like, to talk about Branson Robinson. Now, A, that tells you Trevor Etienne's not going to play. But B, it tells you that I think it's okay as a Georgia fan to be excited about Branson Robinson. I think Branson Robinson is going to be the feature back in this game. And I think the Georgia football team is pretty excited about that. You got the sense that Carson Beck is pretty excited about that. Now, here's what I think is interesting. Branson Robinson, I think, is the better pure runner of these two running backs. I get, like, people are really high on ETN. People really like him. And I think he's going to be a great player for Georgia. I heard somebody talk about Trevor Etienne as a Heisman candidate. Talked about how if he gets 250 carries, that he's going to have like 1,200 yards rushing. Okay. He ain't getting that many carries. Like, he's going to be splitting carries just like he was last year at Florida with Branson Robinson or Roderick Robinson or both. He's not going to be getting that many carries. He is not going to end up as a Heisman finalist. I think Etienne is exceptionally talented, but I think Branson's actually a better pure runner of the football. And therefore, I don't think it's as big of a loss as long as Branson can go and is full speed for this game and doesn't have any injury limitations or snap count concerns or anything like that. So that's the first point, is I think in terms of running the football, I think Georgia's actually going to be fine. I think they'll spell Branson with Cash Jones. Now, when Cash Jones is in the game, I actually think Mike Bobo, and this is tough because, the Clemson defensive coordinators are going to pick up on this as well. I think Mike Bobo just shifts the playbook, because I think the thing that ETN does that's going to make him an insanely valuable piece to this team this year is his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield and make plays in space. Well, that is something that Cash Jones, my man, can do. Cash has got great hands. He runs great routes. He has made big catches before for this football team. I think Carson feels comfortable with him. I think you're going to see Cash Jones catch the football a lot. Now, you might see him run a few times as well. But I think in general, they're going to basically divide up the running back touches by carries and receptions. And you're going to see Branson on the field in situations where we are running or faking the run, like hard play action stuff where we're trying to sell the run. And you're going to see Cash on the field in situations where we are throwing the ball, maybe blitz pickups, like third downs, which is actually probably going to be a really good thing for Branson Robinson, because the biggest concern is his injury coming back, his limited, snap availability potentially, what his body's going to do, how it's going to react. And so if you're able to limit his snaps, if he doesn't play very many third downs other than third and shorts and stuff like that, if he's not on the field much for third down, if he's being subbed out, not necessarily series by series, but more package by package, then I think you could see him stretched out throughout the game. And then obviously you sprinkle some freshmen in there, and hopefully we don't have to use Dylan Bell. So that, I think, is going to be the game plan. for what Georgia is going to try to do on Saturday. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments if you think that's ridiculous, if you think somebody else is going to step up, if you don't think Cash Jones is going to play, if you think I'm crazy for thinking this way. I mean, I'm sure you'll let me know anyway. I'm sure you'll make a comment about, some like where I'm seated right here or my hair or something else. It doesn't matter. But you talk about all that in the comments. Let me know. I will be sure to read them all. And I want to shift the conversation in the third segment to a different player, a defensive player, a player that Kirby Smart talked about in his Tuesday media availability. And something that he said, I think as a Georgia fan, just should light a fire inside of you in anticipation for this football season, because I think what Kirby said, when translated from Kerbinese, essentially translates to, this guy is the best defensive football player in the country, and I am positive that he's going to have a monster year. That's essentially what Kirby Smart said. I want to talk about it right after these. But first, want to talk to you about 5 Hour Energy. 5 Hour Energy, you know this product. You know what it is. When do you take it? You take it after lunch. Maybe you're tired. You hit a lull. You're not alone in that. In fact, research shows that more than 70% of us hit a wall after lunch. Let a 5 Hour Energy shot help you leap over that wall instead of crashing into it. Maybe you got a big to-do list. Maybe it's the weekend, right? It's Friday. It's Saturday. You're trying to get stuff done before the game comes on. Take a 5 Hour Energy. It fixes your tired fast, whether you got a long to-do list for work or a list of DIY projects around the house. Take a 5 Hour Energy so you can check everything off your list. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and much, much more. There's a flavor for everyone. Try them all on the site. You even have the option to build your own 12-pack or 24-pack so you can choose the flavors that are right for you. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5, hourenergy.com, and you get 5 Hour Energy products today, you can use this promo code LOCKEDONCFB. That's LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer's valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscriptions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. All right, so I mentioned I wanted to talk about a defensive player. Did you hear at the end of Kirby's presser on Tuesday? It was the last question he was asked. Did you hear him talk about Malachi Starks? The question went something like, what do you want to see out of Malachi Starks going into this year? And then, in other words, what are the areas that he needs to be focused on, that he needs to be thinking about, that he needs to be trying to improve in? And Kirby Smart said, I don't need to see anything out of Malachi Starks other than for him to just do the same thing that he does every single practice ever since he's been here. Now, when was the last time? Just try to think. Roll the decks back in your mind. We all know Kerbinese here. It's the third segment. It's the loyal third segment listeners. It's the everydayers. It's the 199. When was the last time that you heard Kirby Smart have an opportunity to talk about an area a player needed to improve in and say, I can't think of anything. There's nothing that I can think of right now where this kid needs to do better or focus more or give more of an effort or give all of his attention to or be aware of going into a game. I can't think of a time when Kirby Smart had the opportunity to talk about the need for improvement, the need for always be striving, to always be pushing, to always be going for more. That is the Kirby Smart mantra. That is what the program is built on. It is why Georgia is the standard for college football. It is why Alabama fans lose sleep thinking about Georgia. It's why Alabama fans are on Clemson Twitter, like Clemson YouTube comment sections, talking about how they're cheering for the Clemson Tigers, because Georgia has a standard of excellence that is all driven from Kirby Smart's relentless unwillingness to ever be content with what he has, except for Malachi Starks. Guys, Clint has said it before, but there's a chance that after this year, we are talking about Malachi Starks on the Mount Rushmore of University of Georgia safeties. And if you think about who is on that Mount Rushmore, Georgia has had some safeties come through the program. Malachi Starks has got a chance to be special. Whoever it is, it's going to be Dan Jackson to start. It's going to be KJ. We're going to see KJ Bolden in this game. By the way, Kirby Smart, when asked easiest position to get on the field, the very first position group that came out of his mouth was corner. Ellis Robinson, how you doing? We're going to see you on Saturday, and we are excited about it. It's a young secondary, right? Dalen Everett in his second year. I know he's a junior. It's his second year really playing. Julio, Daniel Harris, not a ton of experience. Ellis Robinson, the true freshman. Dan Jackson, been there for 1,000 years. KJ Bolden, the true freshman. It's a young secondary by and large, but that guy, Malachi Starks, holds everything together. And I'm telling you, you don't have to be fluent in Kirbanese to know that Kirby doesn't talk about players like that. He does not just sit there and say, yep, if he is just who he is, we will be fine because there's nobody better than who he is. He doesn't ever say that. But he did when he talked about Malachi Starks. That should make Georgia fans very optimistic. I actually, the closer we get to this game, now tomorrow we're going to be back. Clint and I are going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be talking about our official predictions for this game. We also have locks from around week 1. If you like money and you like FanDuel, then you'll be back tomorrow to make some money. But it's also where we'll give our official prediction of what exactly is going to happen in this game. Stay tuned for that. But I'm just going to tell you right here on a Tuesday night as I record this, I really like Georgia's defense in this game. And I wonder more and more about Georgia's offense in this game. Now, I'm not saying that I necessarily feel confident about either of those opinions. But don't sleep on, which we'll get to on Friday. Don't sleep on maybe a low-scoring game. I'm not saying it's going to be a 10-3 game or whatever it was last time we played Clemson, but maybe a bit more of a low-scoring game. Stay tuned. We'll see if I've got a lock on it. We'll see if I feel confident enough to lock it up. I am Daniel for Clint. We are the Locked On Bulldogs podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you made it to this point in the video, for the love of God, just subscribe to the channel. Follow us on whatever podcast app of your choice. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. All of that stuff is really helpful for us. Thank you so much for being here. Leave us a comment. Send us an email, lockedonbulldogs@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter @DawgsPodcast. And we will see you guys tomorrow for our official predictions on Georgia Clemson this Saturday. See you then.